Yeah, hi Bernie. This is Bernie again here at Connections Consulting, here with my recovery club, the 3 Iron, on the fairway today. No, not at all. Just talking to you in my home office, and I got my Blue Jays hat on and my C&I specs. At Connections Consulting, we are a sales management company, a customer service management company, and a leadership training company. So what we talk about are primarily those three things, as well as one or four other things, but that's part of our core business. And so today, in our regard, as we think ahead about all this COVID stuff and how we're adjusting our business model, one of the things I want to talk to you about is, what are you wearing on your head? And what I mean by that is, how do you see the world? Now, if you're listening to what we teach on our timeline in Connections Consulting, business principles, how we see the world in our realm of body, mind, spirit leadership, the total self, under the Good Samaritan, CCI Good Samaritan Select Pro side of our business, you accommodate that as how you see the world and you do your life and you do business and all that. And I guess what I get from that is what I would call it is, and this is probably the most important decision I've ever made in my life, because it leads to what I would say is the most important decision I've offered you in all this as well. And that is your select salvation in Jesus Christ, no, your total salvation. But what would the most important decision be in your mind as I say that? To me, it is adopting from ancient history a model of a biblical world overview. What do I mean by that? Well, it's how I see the world. How I interpret things is through that ancient history, how I see the world in that lens, that view, and then how I think about things based on those old ancient history models and adapt to them in this life? No, adapt to this life as we see it, all the circumstances we face in the business model, in the outer circumstances in the world, the causes, the effect of leadership around us, of circumstances like COVID. So then through that lens, in your model, in your biblical overview model, I'll use that word, is how we interpret what we're going to do next, our actions. So leadership is key. It takes huge leadership to run a country, or a ship, ocean vessel, to sail it into port, like I guess Donald Trump did the other night and got the U.S. Navy to bring a whole new hospital into port for New York. Good idea. I mean, who would think about that unless you're seeing clearly what you got to do, right? And a lot of that inspiration comes from the Lord, I suppose, as you seek Him daily. But knowing what to do in circumstances takes new kind of leadership. You might want to go down my timeline on YouTube, Bernie May at Connections Consulting, and I got about 60 videos on there now, I suppose. My first 3, leadership training, is about my third. And you'll see it says something about worry-free, non-worry-free times, worry-free times, and non-celebration times of the end time. Leadership training. It takes a new kind of leadership to dwell in the economy and the life we have now. New thinking. I give you that book, Lori Beth Jones, Jesus CEO. Take a look at that, if you will. It'll help you out. It'll accommodate no one else. It'll calm you. It'll accommodate you. We need to remain calm in these times as much as we can, not causing disturbances, not reacting in legalistic ways. But take a look at that leadership training video. And I guess one thing I want to offer you before I go is Mark, the book of Mark in ancient history in the Holy Bible, is one of the shorter books of the entire Bible. It's only 16 chapters, easy to read, but the most miracles per capita in the length of the book in terms happened in that book, in the history and the record of it, than any other book in the Bible, I suppose. Go read that if you want. There are miracles that happen, short of no one doing them. maybe another human being offering you something of God. But in the CCI Good Samaritan Life Pro side here, body, mind, and spirit, I suppose, you'll see how Jesus offered, and a miracle happened, and he actually did something for someone, and they became healed. And he said, his words were to the person who he healed, "Your faith has made you whole." So faith is important to us in business or any accommodation of life as we go forward into the realm of success and breaking through the barriers of COVID and every other disease or sickness or anything. Miracles can happen. It would be a miracle, I suppose, if a man was lit on fire with gas and he came out the other side and didn't die. It would be a miracle, I suppose, if his house blew up with a bomb and he went flying out across the street and landed and was okay in safety. It would be a miracle, I suppose, if someone shot you with a gun and the bullet went right through beside his heart and out the back end and he lived to tell about it. Those would all be miracles, wouldn't they? But you know, this Chianti product is a physical product you can take. That's not to say that God can't heal you, I suppose, if you pray and just directly ask for that request by your faith, by the scriptural truth that I believe. He would say it's true, God would, but you might actually accommodate that and get to that too. Now, who is this guy, this Bernie May, this Connections Consulting Business? That's a good question. You might say, well, is he a Christian or what is he? He talks about science a lot. He talks about faith and religion a bit. He usually bashes religion, but he likes the faith, inspiration, the healing scriptures, all that side, the history. What is he? Is he a Christian? Well, he sure talks a lot about business because he's a businessman. Well, it doesn't really matter who I am. I say I'm a Christian, but it doesn't really matter who I am. What matters to me the most is what I'm wearing on my head, how I'm thinking, my biblical overview of how I see the world and its systems and accommodate life that way. Ancient history says the world systems will fall. There will be a day when they start to fall and crumble, and only things that are built on the good solid rock of God and his ways will stand. And we're seeing that right now. There's businesses closing down, going bankrupt. The ones that are making it through this have found ways to accommodate their customers. The good customer service skills, I suppose, that I know that I teach, that are biblically founded ways in ancient history of success. How to treat people, how to accommodate, and what happens, how to make it work better, how to come out the other end in spite of challenges. Those companies and businesses and people that are built on those good godly ways will last forever. Not just this life, because it's eternal and the reward is eternal forever. So my accommodation to you in this justice at CCI, this business, is get a good founded head on for what you see in this world as a biblical overview, how you see, the scope you see, the lens you see with, and you get that in our timelines and stuff. Learn as much as you can, but remember, when you're interpreting things and seeing things in this end time world we live in, don't get tricked. Know you've got that good sound lid on of the biblical worldview. So the key take-home point here is, what are you wearing on your head? What are you wearing? What is your lid? And that's that. And that's Connections Consulting, Bernie May, CCI, wconnectionscon.ca, phone number 403-519-3495. And we look forward to doing business with you in the marketplace in this accommodation, I suppose.